Let's quickly drop. Where is that group again? This file is in use. All right, let's try one more time. All right, so I'm dropping the resources we'll be using today. All right, so it's on the group already. Good. You can check it out. All right, so if you want to follow along, you can do well to follow along. So let's get started. All right, let me open it on my. Oh no. I'm trying to open it on my end. All right, so just pay close attention. So it's a guided project. All right, it's a guided project, and what it aims to do is to give you a taste or a feel of what's obtainable. So let me quickly share my screen. All right, can we all see my screen? I'm sharing it. It's an infinity window. Yeah, but if you can just see something, just give a thumbs up. All right. All right. So this is the project we're working on. All right. This is a project we're working on. So I've given us a data set. And then remember when I started, I said that there are 6 phases in data analysis life cycle. So the first stage is to the objective, define the objective. All right. And then what are the objective, what are your stakeholders expecting, what questions you want to answer, what is the problem you're trying to solve. All right. And then you can begin to know what deliverables is expected of you in carrying out analysis. So this is a guided project. The instruction here is to analyze the given data set categorized under demographic and behavioral factors, that influences bike purchase decisions. So it's a bike sales data set, and I'll just quickly walk us through, what it is to, analyze data. So basically, what we are doing is descriptive analysis. There are several types of analysis. All right, we'll touch them in details like we'll just touch to some extent in the professional class. But in case I didn't mention this earlier on, there are different types of analysis. Descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. Predictive has to do with forecasting, making predictions. All right, it has to do with more of data science, machine learning, things like when you hear of weather forecast, financial forecast, what is likely going to happen, what can likely happen. That's predictive analysis. So what we'll be doing is descriptive. That's describing the past, what has happened. So this data set has been collected in the past. All right. So we want to dive deep into the data to understand what the data is saying. All right. So we're not predicting, we're just describing, neither are we diagnosing. Right. Diagnosis is has to do with diagnostic has to do with uh, diagnostic has to do with what happened. So you visit the pharmacy or the hospital, and the doctor asks you what happened. So we're trying to find out what that's diagnostic. All right. And then prescriptive is after they found out what happened. All right. We can now prescribe. Okay, since you're having this condition, all right, or probably any kind of illness, we can now prescribe a drug. We can prescribe a recommendation. We can prescribe an action. All right. So so that's it. So see what will happen. I'll be communicating in the group. All right. So once you lose touch of what I'm saying, or probably my screen or something, just communicate in the group. So if I say, "Can you hear me?" All right, just give a thumbs up here, or you can just give a thumbs up on the group chat. All right, is that clear? Let me see a thumbs up on the group chat. If that's clear, on the group chat, on the group chat too. Let me be sure we are, following. I'm yet to see any emoji on the group chat. I'm yet to see any emoji on the group chat. All right, Gospel just dropped. All right. So let's make use of the group chat too. All right. So quickly, let's dive into it. All right. So we're carrying out descriptive analysis. We're asking, we're trying to find out what has happened. So the first things we'll do here is to understand the objective of the questions. All right. So, it says, to explore the influence of demographic and lifestyle variables such as marital status, gender, income, education, occupation, commute distance, and region on the likelihood of purchasing a bike. All right. The aim is to uncover patterns and actionable insight that can guide targeted marketing strategies for policy decision. So these are the questions, the key questions. So from the data set now, we're asking who is more likely to purchase a bike. All right. Who is more likely to purchase a bike? Let's look at another question. How does income level affect, the bike? So is there a relationship between income brackets? So these are the questions we'll just answer. I'll try to touch as much as we can. If we can't touch everything, you just use it as a take home, just to strengthen your hands on carrying out analysis. So does commute distance impact bike ownership? So we're going to, is there a correlation between customer age and their income level? So we're diving deep into this data. So the first thing we'll do first is to, all right, look at our data. First of all, remember I said, before you carry out analysis, you have to profile your data. All right, you have to profile your data to understand the content of the data. So this is what I'm going to do quickly. I would, drop, I will highlight everything and then drop a filter here. Not format, data. All right. So you can see where is filter. Click on filter. All right. So I've activated the filter here. So once I come to this field, I'm going to check what's inside in case there's a missing value. So apparently there are no missing values. All right. So you have to be sure that there are no missing values. Why are we checking for missing values? Because it can lead to inconsistencies, error, and like, so we have to fill it in or probably get rid of them if need be. All right. So I've checked this. So what we're doing is actually profiling the data. So we're trying to understand the data, right? So we have marital status, which says, this is marital status. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do, so I think, so it's always good to make a copy of your data. So I'll just, duplicate this sheet just in case we make. So I'll say duplicate. Where's duplicate? Where's duplicate? Where's duplicate? Where's duplicate? Where's duplicate? Okay, copy, move a copy. So I'll say move a copy. So copy to the end of this sheet. So to take it to the next one. To the end. Where is it? Or did I just, okay. Move a copy, yes. Move to the end. All right. Okay. Create a copy. All right. So we have a copy. So we'll work with sheet one. All right. So marital status. So let me auto fit everything instead of me dragging the column one by one like this. All right. Let me just. I'll go to my home. Please follow carefully. Right. You can follow me. You can follow along if you are with your computer. So I'll click on format. I'll click on auto fit colon width, and you see everything will adjust well. Beautiful. I don't think there's a need to do that for the row height because it's already fitted properly. All right. Are we together? Thumbs up on the group chat, or just a yes for together? Yes, this time around. Just type yes. All right. So look at marital status. We want to see what's inside. So this is M and S. I believe it stands for married, and S stands for single. All right. So we are sure of what is in this data. So we look at gender. We have female and male. Beautiful. Then we look at the income. All right. We have, yeah, there are no blanks. There are no odd values. When I mean odd values, in the case of the dollar sign, you could see maybe naira, which they are not properly, they're not in sync. They're not uniform. So you check for those kind of errors. Right, you could check, this 10,000, it could be 10, it could be 10000 dot letter O, and that's going to return an error. So if you try to add 10,000 plus 20,000, it will return an error. So those are the things you check for. All right, because it can be very, very tricky. I have worked with the data set, and I was trying to sum a number with another number. And so I was trying to sum, let's say 10 plus 9, it's supposed to give me 19, but there was a mistake, or let's say 100 plus 9, that's 109. But I had, I think, something like 10, then letter O, so you can't add a text, a string to an integer, it will return an error. So those are the things you check for. All right, not to bother us with a lot of information because of time. I'm just going to go straight to the points. All right, so that's it. Look for children. 0, 1, 2, 3. So 0 means, of course, whoever the purchase, the buyer was, doesn't have a child. So that's what 0 stands for. All right, so these are the unique values. Education, we have bachelor's, the graduate degree, high school, partial college, partial high school, and yep. So look at the occupation: clerical, management, manual, professional, no spelling errors. All right, so this is an already clean data set, which in reality, you won't always find it. Like I can assure you, 99% of the times, data comes in unstructured, all right, messy and the rest, but this is just plain data, just to give us a head start. Homeowners, yes or no? Yeah, so this is the categorical data, yes or no. All right, so we have cars, number of cars owned by whoever bought this. So 0, 1, 2. So we're just checking quickly. So the data is clean, all right. Commute distance, miles, 1 to 2 miles, and everything. That's it. So you see what I'm doing. That's why I said, in the life cycle of data analysis, after you've asked, you define your objective, you now gather your data and then begin to ask questions, carry out exploratory data analysis and the rest. Before you do all of that things, I said that you have to clean your data, and that accounts for about, let's say, 70% of the data analysis time when carrying out data analysis. You have to. So what I'm doing, I'm just trying to profile, understand what is in the data. All right. So imagine there are errors. It's going to now take me time to begin to clean and then restructure things, put them in the right order. So it's like you go to the market and then you try to come back and you buy your stock, you buy your beans, rice, or other perishables. You have to clean it. That takes time before you cook. So I believe that's best communicated. So we have Europe, we have Europe, we have North America and Pacific. Those are the 3 regions. So the 3 unique regions, and then we have the age. We also have, so we have 25 down to 89. Trying to go a bit fast so that we can cover as much as we can with the time we have. All right, so bike purchase, yes. So let's see. So this is a unique identifier. So let me quickly walk you through this. So when you hear the word unique identifier, it means it's an identification. All right. So it's your unique identifier now as a student is your reg number, for example, registration number, your matriculation number. So because you can have a colleague who bears the same surname and name and first name as you or like you. All right. So we can have, let's say we can have John Michael. But what differentiates John Michael from the other John Michael? All right. Perhaps both of them might have the same date of birth. They might have the same complexion, the same height, the same gender. All right. But again, the same, the same origin, and anything can just be, but what will not differentiate them? It's just like your fingerprint, it is unique. All right. So this unique identifier, it captures every record. So the person with this unique identifier has all of these details. So the person with 12496 is married and she's a female. She's a female. All right, she's a woman, okay? And these are income. What else again? She has just one child. She holds a bachelor degree. She's a skilled manual, occupant, or her occupation is she's skilled in manual, occupation. She has a home, all right, and she doesn't have a car. Her commute distance probably average is 0.1 to 1 miles per day or per travel or anything. Then she's from Europe. She's aged 42. She hasn't purchased any bike. That's what this means. All right. Please, would the class recording be sent? Of course, the recording will be available. It has always been available. So you can see what I'm trying to say here, right? So the person with this unique identifier, just think of it as a number, or probably your NIN or something, is married. This person is a male. He earns 30K dollars, children, 3, partial college, and so that's what it means. So each of this identification, so that means this person purchased. If you come here, this person has not purchased the bike. So this person could purchase. This is what it means. So let's look at this. Who owns this? Yes, the fourth record in our data set is this number 24381. All right. So this person can come and buy a bike with this, and then captures yes. And at the same time, he could come the next day and buy again. What that means is that think of how many times you buy or you recharge your line. Does that make sense? How many times you recharge your line? And think of it. How many times you recharge your line? So you can recharge in the morning and recharge in the evening with the same unique identifier that is recorded in MTN's database or Airtel's database. All right. So different time, different amount, but from one person. So that's why we cannot have duplicates like this. So I hope that's understood. Can I get a thumbs up on the group? Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. All right. So that being said and done, okay, this is what we'll do next. Excuse me. So the next thing we're going to do is to let's see what we have here. All right, so we'll just do some what I call what's the name, feature engineering. So we're just going to derive some colors that we'll be able to work with. This is what I mean. So I want to categorize this so that we can, it can give us more insight into our data. So I want to categorize the age here. So I'll come here and say, I'll highlight this row and say insert. So to insert a colon here. So this is what I'm trying to do. So I'll say age range, right? So I want to classify them in the sense that I want to categorize them rather, not classify. I want to categorize them and say if the age falls between this bracket, categorize them as probably young adults, middle-aged adults, seniors, or youth and the like. so that we can, best describe our demography or audience from the data. So to do that, I'm going to use the if formula. All right, we didn't walk through the if formula because of time. Like I said, 1 month will not be able to, will not allow us cover a lot of things in Excel. So that's why, would recommend you sign up for the professional class. But just you can still get what I'm trying to do from here. There's a lot of things we need to do in Excel. So these are if statements. So I'll say if. I'll click on if. I'm going to put a logical test now. It says logical test. What's the logical test? If I'm going to reference this cell, all right. So I'll say if ML2, all right, is greater than or equal to 65. All right, so we saw that the highest age here was like 89 or so. So if it's greater than or equal to 65, that means if the age is equal to 65 or greater, that's upward. So 65, 66, 67, 89, 70, 71, 80 years, 90 years. So it is greater than, but this is the logical test now. All right, I'm going to put my comma and say value if true. What should be the value if true? The value if true will be, classify these persons as seniors. So I'll put in my parent this double quote and say seniors. All right. Why am I putting it in double quote? Because it's a string variable. It's not a variable. It's a string. It's a string data, right? So I'll say so. If this condition is not met, that means if the person is less than 65, what should we do? I'm not going to conclude here. I will not say false if value is false. I'll say if again. So I'm nesting ifs functions. So I'll say if, I'm going to reference this again. Yeah, let's do something. Let's do something. All right. All right. So I was trying to check the group if somebody dropped a message. All right. So so I'll say if a reference this what's going on. Okay. Sorry, I'm not closing the bracket. So I'll say if (42), all right. Logical test. If the age is, what should be the next one now? So I want to classify them. Okay, let's use 50, greater than or equal to 50. What should be my value if true? So if it's greater than, if the person is greater than 50 years or equal to 50 years, classify the person as older adults. So I'm going to say older. Oh, time. Let's see how fast we can go. What's the time? Okay. All right. Older adults. What's happening with my typing speed? All right. Older adults. So I'll say if again. All right. Just follow through. Don't worry, you'll get it. If the logical test, I'll say if L2, which is the age here, is greater than or equal to 35. 35. No. Greater than or equal to 35. So I would say what should be my value if true? If this condition is met, what should return? All right. It's an if statement. All right. You'll find it in programming language, if else statement, Python, and the likes. If they're greater than 45, what should I call them? Let's call them mature adults. Okay. Say mature adults. All right. Okay, let's leave that. So we've been able to categorize from 65 upwards, and then we're able to categorize from 50 to 65, and then 35 to 50. What's left is 35 below, down to 18, down to 0. So I would say else, if all of these conditions I've just specified are not met, what should it return? Say return. So if anybody below 35 years, just return young adult. All right. Young adults. Right. So how many brackets did I open? So the number of brackets you open is the number of brackets you close. Let's count 1, 2, 3. All right, so we have 3 brackets open and we have just 1 closed. So I'm going to close the bracket by adding 2 additional brackets. So one of the easiest ways to know how many brackets you've opened will be through the color. All right, so the first bracket open was black, second was red, and the third was what color is that? What color is that? Then so you just close it in that order. So I'll click on OK. All right, and we have our condition. All right, I think we can see that clearly, I believe. So next thing I'm going to do, so if I click down, we can have this. Okay, we can cancel. So I'm just going to flash fill all of them down, so you can see we've classified them. So if I come over, you can see we've categorized them. Now, mature adults, older adults, seniors, young adults. Okay, so we'll say okay. Let me remove this S because we're referring to one person. This is senior, young adult. Okay, click on OK, and then I'm gonna populate this back again. Then that change is affected. All right, so we can proceed. Let's do one more, calculated or derived column. So I'm going to do that for, I want to categorize. What am I categorizing? What next? 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 Income. Beautiful. Let's categorize income quickly, and then we'll move into our analysis proper. Right. So I'd say just follow through. Right. Say income. I'm going to say income range. All right, please, if you have any question, just direct it to the group chat. All right, so because I don't have access to the message section. So just if you have any question, just drop it. So of course I'll take questions, but let's just try to catch up with time. All right, it's a guided project. I would like us to finish this thing by Sunday. So the same approach. I'm going to say, wow, how are we going to do this now? So we want to categorize income. All right. So if you're earning between these amounts, we can say, okay, lower middle income, or low income, high end, all of those stuff. So say equal to if. All right. So all of these are just logical tests. If I'm going to reference this again, if D2 is, so I'll put a condition, is less than. So you could use a less than or greater than, just depending on the logic you're going through. Any of them works, but you just have to be careful with how you're stating your conditions. So say if the income is less than 3K or 30K, 30,000, all right. If it's lesser than 30,000, that means anything less than 30,000 will classify it as what? Value if true. Classify it as what's it called? Low income. All right, classify it as low income. So I'll say low income. All right. Else, we're not going to put else here now. We'll say if, add another if, we're nesting it. So I'll reference, so I click on tab, if again, and it opens another bracket and more parameters and conditions. If income, right, is less than, if income is less than, let's say 60,000, so you can just put in any condition. There are no hard rules. Any condition depending on. So if you're even carrying out this data analysis again, if you're trying to replicate it, all right, I would encourage you to. Okay, it's guided. Follow what I'm doing first. Like they say, the first step to learning is by imitation, and then don't just dwell or camp there. Explore, and then that's it. So I would say if it's less than this, what are we going to classify this income earners as? We'll say lower middle income earner. So you can just say lower, lower, middle. So you can call it anything. Don't just be limited to what I'm teaching. Lower middle income. Okay. So say lower middle income. Okay, no, I'm gonna put this inside. So I'll say if again. Click on my tab. I'm gonna reference this again. If D2 is less than or equal to 90K. Where is 90K? 90K. All right. What should be my result if true, if this condition is met? If the condition is met, we can say upper middle income. All right. Just say upper middle income. Okay. So we can now say else. All right. Else classified as high income. So I'm not going to put if again. So if all of these conditions, these three conditions I just gave, are not met, what should any value, return? To just say, sorry, I'm going to close this parent, this double quote. Else, open under double quote again and say high income. These guys are high earners. Income, high income. All right, so close this parenthesis, and then how many brackets have we opened? Open 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to close it 3 times. Click on enter. See, we just did that. So next thing I'm going to do is to flash fill this downwards, and we are good to go. All right, are we together? Are we up to this point? Just say yes, yes on the group chat. Just say yes if we're good at this point. All right, so if it's your first time, no worries. Of course, no worries, no worries. Just follow through. All right, and you can do your own in-depth research and ask questions. Are we together? Yes, yes, yes on the group chat. Let me see yes on the group chat. I'm not seeing any yes on the group chat. Are we together? All right, all right, all right. So quickly, let's proceed. So we've been able to derive. Why am I doing all of this? I'm trying to categorize a portion of my data. This will give our analysis more analytical value. All right. So you can don't worry, you see what I'm trying to do here when I begin to aggregate things. So having done that, I think for now, let's just stop here. The data is to some extent ready for analysis. So depending on whoever is carrying out this analysis, he or she can, categorize to any extent he or she wants to. So it's just the same thing. You give somebody rice to cook, another person rice to cook. Two of them will come with different, sweet delicacies. All right. So the whole thing is for us to get that value from the rice. All right. So it's the same thing. So if another person handles this data, he will generate a different insight. Not that they are totally different. I mean, he's just going to come with his own approach, right? That's what I mean. So the most important thing is to dig deep into this data to describe what has happened in this data. All right. So you can see things like when you hear of COVID news, you hear things like, so country had the highest COVID, rate, casualties, and this, all of those events has happened. But when you get those insights now, we're now describing what has happened. So United States had the highest record of COVID, patients. Africa had the highest, the lowest this, the average this, this. All of those events has happened. So we're describing those data we have and turning it into information. Does it make sense? All right. So that's what descriptive is. We're now describing. All right. When you get statements like India has the highest, I think, is it China or India that is the most populous country in the world? All right. So that event has happened. So we're now, you hear things like the average, the birth rate of this, or the mortality or infertility rate in this, based on this, all of these are just describing, which falls under descriptive analysis. All right. So I think that's clear. So the next thing we'll do is, now that we're done with the data, it's okay for analysis. So we'll quickly we can just rename this as, bike sales. All right. So I'm going to quickly highlight everything. All right. I want to turn this. It's in a range. Remember, I said, just trying to explain this. Remember, I said when you see something like this, this is a cell, this is a cell, this is a cell. A combination of two or more cells is called a range. All right. So you can have something like this is a range. All right. So our data set is in a range format because it's a combination of several cells, but we want to convert it into a table. So it's either use a shortcut key Control T. All right. Let me escape that. I will highlight everything and say Control T. So it says where is the data for your table. I want to convert it into a table. I just use Control T. The other way to do this is to, I hope I'm not missing anything, is to come to insert. All right, and you see table here. I'll click on table. So you can see the same prompt it gave me. Where is the data for your table? My data is located within cell A1. You can see it here, cell A1. Cell A1. So this semicolon in between. So cell O 1027 records. All right. So cell A1, that's where my data is located. So I'm going to say, yeah. That's where my data is located. So I'm saying, I'm not going to uncheck this. I'm going to leave it checked. My data has headers. Yes, the headers are ID, marital status, gender, income range, children education. That's my, so it has headers. All right. So I'm going to click on OK, convert into a table, and boom, here we are. We have our data in a table, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So you can change the color here, whichever you want. All right. So let's just go with blue. All right, so that's the first thing. And over here, you can see table name. So you can say bike sales. All right. So this principle is applicable to every other data. So this is sales data, for example, right? It's a sales data. So I understand that most of us here are, clinical students, nursing students, and the likes, medical sciences, laboratory, and all of those, So you might, like I said, first understand the basics, all right, then you can now zone out into any niche you intend to. So you could work, like I said, the opportunities are endless. You could work as a healthcare analyst, you could work as an HR analyst, you could work as a risk assessment analyst, you could work as a finance analyst, financial analyst, you could work as a sales analyst, you could work as any kind of analyst you could work as, you could work in any industry, in the oil and gas, because every business generates data. You could work in your department in school as a data analyst, analyzing, academic data. Anything, think of anywhere you could work. If we collect data, you do transfer. You could even work as a data analyst for yourself because you perform, actions that generates data. Could be your sleeping pattern, when you wake up, how many hours do you fiddle with your phone. You could work. Data is everywhere. That's why it's it's really has a lot of opportunities. Data. Think of anywhere you could work. In the church, is data. If you're in church, anywhere, data. The number of people that attended this event, that's data. Their background, their biography, their demography, the age range, people that attended this conference is data. Vector Hub has your data. All right. How many students applied for this? In fact, you can just check it on the WhatsApp group. There are over 100 students, right? That's data. And your background, probably you filled a form before you signed up for this bootcamp. It could be a survey form. That's data. What I'm trying to say is that just get the basics. You can now zone out. So don't mind the fact that we're using this data set. It could be a sport analyst, analyze sports. That's data. So what you can get, the basic for, you build small and then you expand. So you can now, so the same principle applies. So if you are giving a healthcare data, if you're giving a sales data, if you're giving a, any kind of data, all right, you can be able to still describe what has happened using descriptive analysis. All right, I think I've spoken a lot. So let's proceed. So I'll call that bike sales and leave it as that. So the next thing I'm going to do is to insert this into a pivot table. Into a pivot table, right? Into a pivot table. So I'm going to say, so the data is in a table and no longer in the range. So I'll say, I'll come to insert. I'll say insert into pivot table. All right. So this is it. It says choose the data that you want to analyze. Yes, I've chosen it by default. It tells me bike sales data. All right. So choose where you want the pivot report to be placed in a new worksheet. Yes, it's already highlighted. So if I say in existing worksheet, it will drop the pivot table in this same worksheet, bike sales worksheet. But I want it to appear in a different worksheet. I'm going to leave it in a different worksheet. Choose whether you want to analyze multiple tables. I might want to analyze multiple tables in the future or later when I'm working. But sometimes it's good or best practice to just leave it because you might want to do a data model. That's really advanced, right? Let me not bug us with that information. So I'm just going to click yes, add the data to a data model. You know, you can model your data in Power BI, you can model your data in Excel, you can model your data in SQL also. All right. So like I said, you'll get to learn all of these things in the professional class, right? And they are taught in depth. Time will not permit us for just a 1 month boot camp. All right, so I'm going to click OK. Quickly, it's going to open another sheet for me with a pivot table. Beautiful. So you can see sheet 3. So I'll drag this and drop here. All right, so you can just quickly say pivot table. All right, so if we're together at this point, just I'll say duplicate data. Duplicate. So just give a thumbs up or just say I'm following. Don't worry, I'll take questions, but I just want to we just have some minutes to go. So I want to really cover what I'm doing. So just on a group, you could just type I'm following. All right. Don't worry. If you have any questions, we could take that at the end. But because of time, just follow through. All right. So I think we're good. So it's in a pivot table already. So we have a pivot here. Now let's go straight. So before we proceed, let me quickly tell us what a pivot table is. A pivot table is it's used to summarize, it's used to aggregate, it is used to analyze data. It's a simple definition. You could go online and search more about it. All right, what is a pivot table used for? It is used to analyze, it's used to aggregate, it is used to summarize, it is just all the rise. It's used to visualize too. All right, so that's what a pivot table is used for. So quickly, I want to now answer the questions we have here, but now diving deep into the data to uncover insights. Right. So the first question says, who is more likely to purchase a bike? So, what it means is that what are the demographic behavioral characteristics of bike buyers? Follow me. Let me explain that quickly and see how fast we can cover that. All right. So we're just going to summarize the data. We're just going to summarize the data. Let me look at that question again. So some of these questions, they are word problems. You know how word problems come in. You have to figure it out. Like, what's the data? What's this question saying? And then you interpret it in the language of Excel. That's what it means here. So I'll say count of. Let's look at this. What are the demographic and behavioral characteristics of bike buyers? All right. So let's do this. So now is this. So under here, we have the column, we have the filters, we have the row, and then we have the values. We place numeric values here for aggregation. All right. So in this case, let's look at our data. I'm trying to see how the approach I can come through so that we can understand. All right. So let's look at, the demographic, insight based on, let's look at it based on marital status. All right, let's look at it based on marital status. So we just have two marital status, married and single. So we want to see how many married people purchase the bike and how many unmarried, which is the single, purchase the bike. That's what we're trying to do here now. How many married people purchase the bike and how many unmarried people single purchased a bike. So how do we get that information? Because we have married here. Look at it here. Married, this person did not purchase. M, no. To go to cell row 3, no. To go to row 4, no. To go to row 5, a single person bought a bike. This is her record. She earned $70K, which she has no child. She's a bachelor degree holder. Her occupation is professional. She has a home, yes. She has a car. All right. She commutes 5 to 10 miles per day or whatever it is. She's from the Pacific region. She's aged 41. And then she has bought a bike. That's a record with an ID number of 24381. So you can see we now want to begin to aggregate all of these things. This person with the ID 25597 single has bought a bike. All right. So you can see. So what aggregate now? How many people? How many of them? How many singles? So we have 2 singles now that has bought bikes. 2 singles, right? We have another single here that bought bike too. So that's what this question is trying to say. All right. The question says, what are the demographic and behavioral characteristics of bike buyers? This question means a lot, but I'm just trying to show you how to dissect these questions and answer them using pivot table. So go quickly to the pivot table. All right, and say marital status. Yes. So I'll drag marital status into my we have gender, married and single. All right. So let me tell you something. There's a concept that will help you carry out analysis using pivot tables. It's called the subject and the quantifier. The subject and the quantifier. Right? The subject and the quantifier. The subject and the quantifier. So now this is the subject. Let me zoom this in or out. This is the subject. All right. So we want to quantify them. We want to give it, want to give it analytical value. So this is a subject. But then how do we now quantify it? Because we cannot be going row by row, row by row, row by row, row by row. So we want to quantify it. In quantifying it, that's where we use how are we going to quantify it now? This will now be our quantifier. Where is this colon? Purchase bike, if they purchase bike or not. No. So this will be our quantifier. All right. It's not necessarily going to be a numeric value. So this is what I mean. So it will aggregate it now. It's used to aggregate, like I said. So it's going to count. I'm going to go to purchase bike, yes or no. So I'll drag and drop it into here. Are you seeing? Okay, no. I want to see how many people, how many males said yes, and how many males have bought and not bought. But you can see now it has aggregated it. All right. So we have 126 records. Let me prove that to you. Look at it. You can see 127. All right. That means the first column is a header. So we have 126 records. This 27th is a header. All right. So you can see here now. You can see here now that let's look at the pivot. So you can see here now that it's 126. So it has aggregated it. All right. Another way to do this, we want to see how many of them have bought. This is just a count of how many males, how many records, but that's not what we're trying to answer. So I'll put purchase bike again in colon. No. What am I doing? So the count of purchase bike. Okay. Okay. right? So this is it. So how many singles, all right, have purchased the bike? 259. We have 218 that have not purchased, that did not buy. For married, we have 301 and 300 and 236. So if we sum these two together, the summation of 313 plus 236 will give us 549. The summation of 218 and 259 will give us 477. Yes. And the summation of 549 and 47 will give us this. All right. So we put this into rows. Just you see how it summarized it. Just just the way we come here, and you see that it filters. It just tells us that there are two values, not female and male for marital status, just male and female, male and, sorry, what am I saying? Married and single. All right. So it's the same thing the pivot table is doing. Once you drag it into the row, it aggregates the unique values that are there. It aggregates the unique values that are there. All right. Aggregates the unique values that are there. So that's why we dragged into our row. You put your subject in the row and then your quantifier in look at it, showing count of purchase values. All right. If I click on value field setting, you can see it. It's the aggregate. Remember I told you what are aggregate functions. They are used to what's aggregate functions again? They are used to summarize or to, what was that aggregate? They perform calculations on an array of data and then return a single or summary value, right? Exactly. So this is on count. So what it literally did was I can change it to average now. You can't summarize this field. Okay. So we'll leave it at count, not sum. Don't worry, in the later class, I can tell you why all of these errors are returning, why I can't do that. It's even easy to pick it from here. So look at it. So what it did now was to go through, look at it. So the aggregate function, count, it's an aggregate function. It went through this column, all right, and counted how many times no appeared and yes. And that's what it did here, and came here to aggregate things up. All right, so it's on count. So if you click on value field setting, you can change any of the aggregators here. Sum count, minimum, max, standard deviation, variance, distinct count, minimum, yeah, all of that. So, and then for the colon purchase bike, it is because we can't, this married and single alone does not have any analytical value. It is the count of this colon here, purchase bike colon, that will now add meaning to this, that will aggregate it. So we can now say that, now say that, male married had a total of 236 purchase. So you can see how, you've used pivot table to quickly analyze this data. But by mere looking at this data now, we cannot know how many. If I just say, oh yeah, Samuel, or Blessing Monday, or whoever is on call, Gospel, tell me how many married people purchase the bike. We can't do that by just looking at this table. That's data analysis now. We are analyzing the data. So it's easy. So we now say that. So we can even quickly make, that means it's apparently we have more married people that are buying bikes. So remember, data analysis is to clean your data, analyze data, and present and generate insight from the data and also make recommendations. So from this information we've gotten from data now, we've dug deep into the data. We've described what has happened in data. So it's obvious that married people purchase, single people purchase more bikes, look at it, 259, than married people, which have a lower purchase rate, 236. So what insight can we generate from this? We could say that, of course, single people purchase more bikes than married people. Why? If we want to now, that's now diagnostic analysis. Why? So, we're trying to find if your charger stopped working, for example, I want to ask why, what happened to it rather, all right? Or if your slippers caught or something, why? Could it be anything? So now asking why. So that's now diagnostic, which we'll not cover here. So, but one of the reasons could be probably since singles probably maybe they've not had need for carrying more people when they are commuting, or just maybe one of those things I just want to do, just to get a bike. I remember I had bought like 2, 3 bikes when I was growing up. All right. So, but married people, they might want to, go with cars, because they have family to carry, stuff. They're engaged, and a lot of things. So those could be one of the reasons. Well, you can't tell, but this is just like a dummy data just to help you, practice and get started. Are we together? Are we together? Okay. Okay. If you have any questions, like I said, drop it on the group. Drop it on the group. If you have any questions, all right. Please just give me some few seconds. All right. Uh, okay. So I can see a question on the group chat. I don't know what that issue is. Don't worry, we could attend to that. Let's just, like I said, just follow up. All right, follow up, follow up. If anyone has answer to that, of course, could help. But I just want to cover some of the things I'm trying to do here so that we can finish up on time. All right. So we'll answer some of those questions. All right. So let's look at the next thing. What's the next question? Let's look at another question. How does income level affect bike purchases? 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 Is there a significant relationship between income brackets? Uh, okay, so let's quickly do something here. So I could just come here. Say all right. So I'll copy this now. I'll copy this pivot table. So before you can recreate another pivot, you have to copy it. All right. You have to copy it. I'll paste it here and just get rid of, remove this field, remove this field. That's the only way you can replicate a pivot table. And then remove this field. So we have another pivot table showing here. So how does income level affect bike purchase? Is there a significant relationship between income brackets and purchasing behavior? Yes, let's check that out. So income. So we're going to work with income. The income. Do you see the reason why I created this column here? Income, where is that? Income range, right? So we want to see how it affects. What was the question again? How income affects bike purchases? Is there a significant, is there a relationship between income brackets and purchasing behaviors? So let's quickly check that now. So we'll go to our pivot table. All right, we'll drag in income range. So the reason why I see now, and I have quickly, I just categorize high income, low income, and everything. And then we'll click on purchase by and drag it to fields. Are you seeing? It has given us this. So you can rename this as our income range. All right. So you can see count of purchase by good. You can name this two to be marital status. All right. So you can see we have this. So it's obvious, right? What insight can we generate from here? You know, it's obvious that the highest. So let me quickly do this. Let's just do something like, let me use conditional formatting. Let me use color scales. All right, so look at it now. So we see that, you know, now I didn't, you know, not looked at, you know, conditional formatting. All of these things is where I get to cover them in professional class, advanced classes, right? I'll teach you how conditional or you know, conditional formatting will be taught there. But let me just give you a tip of what it is. So it's used to identify trends and patterns. You can use color skills to denote, you know, what a value represents. So with, you know, red, in this case, we have just three colors: red, or is it this orange, or which color is this? Green. And yeah, I think the conditional what I used was color scale was this. Okay, green, yellow, and red, right? So green, yellow, and red. So with yellow indicating something, green also indicating something, depending on how you are, you know, what you set it to be. So, but now green is representing a high value, while red is representing a low value. So we can say that upper middle class people, that the ones that, you know, purchase bikes the most. That's what it means here. So it's easy to just spot it. All right. So if I undo this, you might not really see it. Like, not as if you won't get what the data is saying. All right. So, but with conditional formatting, it helps you to just quickly spot trends. So we just know that what red denotes, and if you see red in anywhere, it can denote something. You know, so that's what it is. That sometimes red can denote danger. You can also use red to denote high concentrated areas of for something or anything. Does that make sense? If you have we start with me, you could just type something on the group. All right, so we can see now that high income earners, they don't purchase bikes the most. So we're trying to understand our data. High income earners don't purchase bikes. They are the least, you know, they have the least purchasing power. That's what it means, right? So probably bike might not be their preference. So now it now begin to help you tailor recommendations, or to strategize, or to, you know, to help you have good insight on how to position your product, especially for advertisements too. So from this data now, you've observed that, okay, if Jumia gets their data, dive into their data, and they have something like this, they will know that, okay, high income earners, or probably working class people, they don't have need for bikes. So let's tailor our advertisement to, you know, to a different demography. All right, like students, like, you know, high school grads and everything. They might be the one that, you know, after bicycles, or not necessarily them. Let's tailor it to parents that will want to buy bicycles for their children. right? So you depending on your audience will determine your advertisement approach. So it's obvious that high income earners don't buy probably they're buying the Range Rovers, the Ferraris, the ones that so you just think, like, just understand the data. That's what it means. So beyond the numbers, you can make interpretations, you can give interpretations on them. All right, so let's quickly go to the next question. It says, is there a significant relationship between income bracket and purchasing behavior? We just looked at that now, income. All right, so I was supposed to do this, but it came under this question. Okay, let's do something. Let me add another. So quickly, still on this number one question, let me just bring some more insight there. Demography and behavioral characteristics. All right. So let's look at gender. Let's look at gender. So I'll copy this pivot table again. Control C. So you can see how we're just quickly. This is a quick analysis, right? Simple. So we'll get rid of this. Get rid of this. And then let's look at gender, demography. Now we looked at marital status before, female and male is for gender, and then married and single is for marital status. So choose purchase. So depend on the question now, you know which quantifier to use for your subject. All right. So you can see that we'll change this from income range to gender. So female purchase back the least and male purchase back the most. Yeah, you can see that for different other instances too, right? You can see that for different other instances. I'm trying to think of one. And yeah, I don't think any can come to now. Don't know, but you can see some gender disparities, all right, when it comes to product. It seems that the males that like this kind of things the most. All right, so it could be the guys' things, it could be the ladies' things. So let's do that for occupation again. So I'll copy and paste. Sorry, what did I just do? I'll copy this pivot table. You can copy any pivot table, So I'll copy it and paste here. All right, and just quickly demarcate this. Don't mind me, just you just use any color or anything, it will not be the same. So right, so just copy this here. I like doing this sometimes just for clarity, right? When working with data like this, I'll just put this question here. Right. All right, so let's look at the next question. Say, does commute distance? Okay, I'm still looking at behavioral characteristics. It says something here. All right, so you can see how we're just answering some of these questions. All right, so I can just come here and make some demarcations. So let me copy this. I wasn't following the sequence. I had the intention to do this analysis. So just pardon me. I'm still trying to look at demographic. All right. So demographic could be we looked at what did we look at now? Look at gender, right? Look at marital status. So let's look at educational. What's it called? Let's look at occupation or management. All right. Let's look at education. Let's look at education. So what I mean is that I want to see how the demography is for education. So where is education? So this is the colon, right? Where is the colon? Where is the colon? Education. So we want to see who are the people buying bikes based on education, bachelor's, graduate degree, high school. Are we following? Give a thumbs up on the group chat. Let me be sure we are following. Please give a thumbs up. All right. So, okay. All right. So let's quickly do this. I'm always coming here. So I'm just summarizing things. All right. There are more detailed analysis than this, but just to get started. Gender, education. So we'll drag this to education, and then this is our subject. What will be our what will be our qualifier now? Our or quantifier rather, to be purchased by count. All right, so you can see how we are summarizing and aggregating things. So we change it from marital status to what now? To education. Okay, count of purchased bike. So you can see now it's obvious. So you can quickly do a conditional format here. Use any kind of color scale. Let's go with this. So you can see now, green means a higher purchase count than red, right? Then yellow means average. So we see that bachelors are the ones who, bought data. If I say bought data, bought purchased, bikes the most. All right, they are the ones that purchase bike the most. Simple. And then high schools, they're the ones that purchase bike the least. All right. So there are several, there are several, there are several insights we can draw from here, because that's what data analysis is all about. Carrying out analysis, and then making recommendations, getting insights and the likes. So let's see what we have again based on just a minute, please. Okay. Let's see which other question we have. There's just something here quickly. Jeez. So let's look at this question. Does commute distance impact bike ownership? So how are we gonna answer that? How are we gonna answer that? So simple. So it's just rinse and repeat. Let's look at the commute distance here. So just aggregate things. We want to see what's it called. We want to see the relationship. All right. So I'll quickly come over here. Come to pivot table. Excuse me. Just copy this. All right. So I can come and just copy any of the pivot table here. All right. Commute this. I'll remove this field. Where is commute distance? All right. So you can see commute distance. So quickly, I'll change this to from income range to commute distance. All right. So you see that you can see the trend here also. Use conditional formatting. You can decide to change the color grade. Or let's still use this because this speaks better. So you can see that those who commute the most, that's 5 to 10 miles, are the ones that have less record of bike purchase, right? So probably one of the reasons could be, you know, the longer distance. Of course, you're guaranteed to arrive at a longer distance safely with, a car, and then speed and everything. So that could be the reason for, a low number of bike purchase for those who commute farther distance than those who commute closer distance. Of course, bicycles are designed um, to to commute a shorter distance. All right. So is that clear? Are we together? Is anyone still following me? Let me be sure. All right. As usual, just this time around, you could just drop a yes. So that's for commute. All right. So it's obvious that bikes, they're not designed for long distance. So that's one of the reasons. All right. So let's see if we can quickly. Yes, and this is saying, is there a correlation between customers' age and their income level? All right. Is there a correlation between customers' age and their income level? Is there a correlation between customer age and income level? So that means, let's see what that does. Is there a correlation between income and age? Let's put that here. So we say we change this to remove field. So we change this, let's say income and age, income and age. So no, drag age here. It's going to be a long one anyway. And then we drag income. So you can see it here, right? So this is the best place to put. Let's see if there's a trend here, if there's a correlation. You can further drag this into a scatter plot and see. All right, so just put conditional formatting here. So you can see, is there a correlation between age and income? All right, so you can see. So the older people are earning less than the middle guys, the average, the young, the youth, the younger adults, right? So that could be probably, these are people in their early career. Don't we can generate insights from this, right? So these are people who can define them as probably they're in their early career, all right? And these people, the seniors, yeah, when you say income, does not really necessarily, it's not the same thing as savings, all right? Somebody could be retired but is still receiving probably pension in the corporate, office and this kind of stuff. But then it's not compared to, those that are actively working class, citizens that are earning, and then this age depends on the setting. All right, it's not written on stone anyway, but this one insight you can draw, so you can see how I'm giving generating insights from the data. All right, so this is what it might mean. All right, so I'm just showing us how to interpret the numbers. All right, so these people might not be receiving income as per daily or monthly. That's what it might mean. So in but it's not in all cases anyway. Just showing you how this is done. So this question was for are people who live closer. Sorry, is there a correlation between customers' age and their income level? All right, so we can see there's a correlation. Let me quickly. We'll do that probably in the next class. But let me. All right, so let's see. Let's see. Let's see if there's a correlation. I can just quickly throw this into Control C into a scatter plot here. All right. It's while highlighted. I'll just come over here and choose insert. Click on recommended charts. So why can't you summarize the pivot table? Oh my goodness. I didn't include pivot table now. Mm-hmm. This is scatter plots. So you can see a scatter plot quickly. So you can see I've just put into a scatter plot to see the correlation, if there's a correlation. Remember I said, is there a correlation? I give an example between reading hours and students' performance grade. So we can see that there's a correlation here as the age increases, all right, those in their mid-20s, their mid-30s, early 40s. So you can see there's a, but then somehow there's a decline here. So the older adults, the older adults, and then the seniors, you can see, so probably they're not receiving income. So you can see what these data points they mean. I could quickly come here and include a trend line. So you can see, so it's not strongly correlated. Let's go to more options and see and display the R squared value, right? So I've just displayed the R squared value. Where is it? The R squared value here. Why can't I? Sure, it's appearing small. I don't know why I can't increase. So the correlation coefficient is 0.3. Can we see it? Can we see it? Give a thumbs up. All right. I don't know why I can't increase this. Sure, but that's just it. So it's 0.3. So if it's strongly correlated, it will give you 1. All right. So it's not really strongly correlated. That's what it means here. So you can see how we are generating insights too from the data, right? So I'm going to quickly get rid of this. All right. Don't need this. So that's just what I was trying to show you. So let's see if we can quickly. Are there regional differences in bike purchases? So which regions report the highest and lowest bike ownership? All right. Which region can you see? All right, so you can just copy this, Control C, right, and quickly change the subject, which region. So, like I said, these are just word problems. You have to, have this critical thinking. If you're talking about which region reports the highest and lowest bike ownership, so you will just know that we're dealing with region. All right, so that's already in our data. So I'll drag in region here, and then look at its count of bikes. All right, so you can see. Seeing how interesting it is. So we see that Europe, all right, sorry, Pacific has the least um, record of bike sales, followed by North. So you can also include this in a chat and just give us, what's it called? To just give us something like this, you know, you can include it in the chat and you just see there's a statement that says a picture is worth 1,000 words. Look at it. It's as simple as this. I already have this, so you can see that North America has the highest number of sales, over 500. Look at it, 500 sales. Yeah, showing 508. All right, that makes sense, right? Europe too. So this is how you begin to aggregate data. So you're already communicating. So you can see, you can imagine how we've come from here, from raw numbers and just data points. And then we're already aggregating, summarizing, and visualizing data with pivot tables, right? So that's what we can do with Excel. So Excel is user friendly. So let's quickly look at uh, the other question because of time. All right, so I'm going this fast because of time, so that I can cover a lot. And of course, I know some of us will have questions. That's okay. Just what is the distribution of bike purchases across different household sizes by number of children? All right, what is the distribution of bike purchases? What this question is trying to say is that do customers with more children purchase bike more or less frequently? Remember growing up, in the neighborhoods. Of course, there was I think, you just see some compounds around that, they had a lot of children, and it also affected, or no, the number of children were a factor to the number of bikes in that area, right? Everyone owns a bike. So of course, growing up, those are the things that children want to, own. So do customers with more children purchase bikes more or less? Want to know that through the data generated, right? So that's what it means. All of these are just English and problem statement. You have to break it down. So just copy this. So this is how we can, do analysis with Excel. Very simple and sweet. No stress, right? So I'll say, click on this, and then I'll so pay close attention. Let me see. I think I need to fill the space here so that I do not. Okay, let's just look that first. Where will I put this now? Okay, what was I trying to see if I will answer this question first? Are there regional? We'll answer that. Just two more questions. Okay, let's answer this first. Let's answer this first because that one is the same thing. How does income vary across different education and levels? So let me show you something different now because we've been doing the same thing. So how does income vary across now two different subjects here? How does income vary across? The first one is education and then occupation. So we'll get rid of this, get rid of this. All right, so we have our pivot table here. How does income now, education and occupations are our subject, our quantifier is the income. So quantifier will go into the, we'll say income to go into the values first. All right, and then education will come to colon. All right, so you can see it in colon. So what it means is that these are like colons now. You can see it. We have bachelors in this colon, graduate in this colon. That's what it means. Remember, let me just show you. Remember, look at it now. This is IDs in this colon, marital status in this colon, gender. That's what I'm just trying to do here. And then D is a colon, E is a colon, H is a colon, right? We have 5 as a row. We have 29 as a row also. So the same thing I'm trying to do here. So, and then in between are data points, all right? So a data point. So we see that 12697, the person with 12697 ID has a data point connecting to income, connecting to income range, connecting to children too. That's what I'm trying to do here. So it's a small table I'm doing here. So we want to see how the income vary across colons, education, and then occupation. We come to our row so you can see. All right. This is what I was trying to avoid. I didn't want any clash. So just include so that there will be space. Let's put this here. All right, so you can see so you can see now, so you could take time to just let's see if we can put 1,000 separator. It's not looking presentable. Get rid of leading zeros. All right, beautiful. So you can see, so you see that if you study it very well, you see that so how does income? So you see clerical it's not commute distance. Let's change this to occupation. Let's change this to education. All right. Change this to income level. All right. So you can see now that bachelors, N can still use what's it called? Conditional formatting. All right. So you can see. So quickly, what is conditional formatting used for? it's used to highlight, trends and spot patterns. All right, trends and spot patterns. So you can just quickly see without straining your eyes and everything. Just helps you. Red now denotes a very low income. So you can see that those that are high school certificate holders, they earn the total income, that's the average income, or let's see if we can change this to average. So we've just change it to average. So how does we can now change this question to the average income vary across right? So across education levels and occupation. So you can see that the average income of this is the average income of a bachelor degree holder who is a clerical staff. This is the average income, 70, thousand is the average income of a bachelor degree holder who is a professional. So we can see that, partial college holders, they earn the most, or no, partial high school holders, average income, but who are professionals. So we could just begin to analyze data and get insight to understand the income across board, right? Are we together at this point? Just type a yes. Type a yes. All right. So let's see. Let's quickly answer the question. Okay. So how does income vary across educational levels? Okay, let's answer this last question, I believe. Do customers with more, okay, what is distribution? So it's simple. The customers with more children purchase more bikes, right? So let's just see if we can answer the question. Put it here. So we'll just change the rows here. We're just aggregating. All right, so we'll say children. Simple. And just use conditional formatting here. Just to quickly highlight. It's just to highlight spots and so you see that apparently, this is number of children, all right, and count of purchased bike. So you see that purchasing power decreases, all right, with number of children, So just those that have two children, they get to probably purchasing power. We might not be able to afford for all the children. So, and then those that do not even have children are the ones that buy bikes the most. So these are just ways to generate insights from the data and then begin to describe what has happened within the data, and also, carry out, analysis and then generate insights too. All right. So uh, let me pause here. And so this is it, right? So we've been able to describe what has happened in the data, right, by carrying out descriptive analysis. Very quick one. We've been able to spot differences, gender based on the purchase. So we've just dug deep into this data set to describe, all of these data points here using our pivot tables. All right, so I'll stop here so that we can continue in the next class. Because of time, I'll have to jump. I have to, jump on another call. So, but let me see if I can take, a question, maybe one or two. All right. I don't know why my screen isn't showing. Hmm. All right, are we together? Can we hear me? Any question? Any question? No question. Is anybody raising hand up? Okay, so all right, so this is what will happen. Please, just the video will be uploaded. Ensure that you go through the recording again, right? I believe there will be questions, or it's simple, probably it's easy to grasp, right? So we'll meet on our next call where we'll finalize on our project, answer more questions, and then generate some insight and some graphs and charts. All right. So everyone should, I need these projects to begin to fly out, all right, as soon as possible. Take screenshots, all right, take screenshots and begin to upload there. But gradually coming to the end of the boot camp. So it's 1 month of consistency. So go online, tag Vextor Hub, tag me. All right. If you've not still connected with me on LinkedIn, go and connect with me on LinkedIn, tag me, and also show your progress, right? So we'll meet on Sunday again for the next call where we'll finalize our project. So the data set is already provided, the questions are already given. So you can begin to replicate what I've done. All right. So this is a guided project, and it's you can use as your portfolio first as you're starting out in your learning data analysis. So ensure you do your project, and also do well to sign in for the professional class. All right. There you get to learn in depth, in details. All right, all that is you need to know about data analysis. So ensure that you are signing up. All right, and if you have any questions, please do well to do well to do well to reach out. Do well to reach out. If you have any questions regarding the professional training, CEO is there. Ensure that you are not left behind, please. All right. The idea is for everyone to be carried along. So I think with that, we've come to the end of